Probably. We'll get on it. Wait a minute. I've already started stream. I'm already.
I think we're live already, brother.
Yeah, we're still live. But you know what? I'm still. And we are live. So tonight I am in the Dirty South. Hopefully that's me. I got him an invite. He'll join us. But I got Victor, the rookie card specialist, my man JD, and Mike has been joining me on these roundtable discussions. I really enjoyed these discussions about.
I'm the guy on Big Scott's channel once in a while.
I had to tell that story again to Ed last week to make both of us laugh. What's up, 357? Reese, what's going on? That's about. We might get to that where we just ask the Magic 8 Ball for knowledge.
We got JD on, so we can say that this show is officially sponsored.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I'm sponsored by Retro Hoops now.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like the Houston Rockets logo.
I buy a hat off my boy, figuring I'd support him, and then like 2 weeks goes by, and I'm like, well, dude, my hat, I paid for it, it hasn't shipped. He's like, what are you talking about? So he goes and looks. He's like, oh, I never had the thing set up, so I had no idea anybody bought anything. I was like,
wow,
what kind of half-ass operation are you running? So anyway, I got this new hat.
My man Omar's got the merch now. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah.
So, how's everybody doing now that baseball is done for this season, and we have officially started the awards?
Waiting for April.
Can I start?
Yeah, go ahead, JD.
All right. As a Red Sox fan, this is now my season. They got to get somebody. They gotta get somebody. I don't care who it is. If it's I just was talking about my buddies, the pitcher, who I didn't realize was only 5'10". Did you guys know that?
Which pitcher are you talking?
The Japanese pitcher.
Ohtani?
No. The other guy, Yoshimbo Yamamoto, or whatever.
The one that's getting
there's the one that's getting posted.
Yeah, there's one.
There's a few guys available, but the one guy is like.
Hang on, I'll get his name.
Yeah, there's two that's getting posted. One that like this week. He's got the same agent as Singo, right?
Cody he's Singo, what, 28? Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah, so him and Singo are good friends, and it's gonna be tough to get the Mets to not to get him. I think
it's good. Well, I'll tell you what, the Sox get some cash too, buddy. So.
Right. I agree.
The guy's going to get paid a lot of money regardless of where he goes.
Yeah.
But, I didn't realize. I was reading. He's 5'10".
Yeah. Well, there's, like Stroman's like that. Marcus Stroman. There's a few pitchers. Kimbrel. Sorry, Mike.
He'll be finding a new team next year.
But yeah, I'm the same way. I'm excited because my Mets were so bad. Let's see if we can't win the offseason because we haven't.
But hang on, Scott. The Mets won the offseason last year. They spent like $500
But that doesn't win it. That's stupidity.
But who else could they possibly sign? Like the Red Sox, at least going into it, they signed like me, the kid down the street, and like some other like poor little dog. And then they're like, we're gonna go play baseball. Oh, and charge you $100 a ticket. The Mets at least spent a shit ton of money, and they still sucked.
Yeah, and listen, they're talking about they have the inside. I was reading the other day. Well, I don't know if they got the inside line, but they're putting up a huge amount of money for Ohtani. I'm like,
I love it.
Is there not? They just don't care about the tax and just
don't care.
Hey, Arizona.
I'm pretty sure that's the Mets. The Mets. Their biggest advantage is they have an owner who's a fan of the team who has a ton of money. I believe he might be the richest owner in baseball, and he doesn't give a shit about the money. Now, I think because last year went wrong with, signing 2 47-year-old pitchers. Granted, those pitchers did end up pitching in the Final Four. They weren't exactly huge parts of it. I think they wised up a little bit to know that, yes, he can spend a ton of money and bring in these big guys, but you need that foundation. Right. And that's why they're redoing the front office, and obviously they're going to have a new manager and stuff like that. So,
right. Well, I mean, Council saying he's picking here what team he's going to be with in the next couple of days. So we'll see. But
it's going to be a really exciting off season, I think, just with everything going on with Ohtani.
It is.
I hear Juan Soto's on the table now.
Juan Soto.
I heard the Yankees are what I read was the Yankees have a package together. To try
for what?
For Soto. For Soto.
Okay.
Who are they going to trade for Juan Soto?
I have no idea, but that's what I read. They didn't say what the
greatest rookie since Juan Soto, Anthony Rizzo. Ask any Yankees fan.
Well, they got a little bit. They do have for once they have 1 or 2 players in their minor league system. So we'll wait and see. But also, just like we had the Gold Glove announcements this evening at 7:30.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I want to run through that really, really quick.
Yeah.
There was some very surprising names. American League was Nathaniel Lowe, first baseman for the Rangers. Andres Jimenez, second year in a row for the Guardians. Awesome second baseman. Matt Chapman, which I don't think anybody was surprised. Volpe, shortstop, Yankees. You have to build a little bit of a portfolio, if you may, a few years before the writers or whoever votes.
Yeah,
to get it in your rookie year, I think that's a big accomplishment. He sure didn't hit. Jonah Heim. Yeah, Jonah Heim actually got it. I kind of expected that. Jose Barrios, wasn't surprised with that. Stephen Kwan, Guardians, was not surprised with that one. Kiermaier, not a surprise. Adalis Garcia for the Rangers. I know one gentleman, I'll take the lower corner for the block. JD has been speaking of this man all season long.
Love that guy.
Yeah, and he's got a chance.
Steroids and all, baby.
He's got a chance for the Silver Slugger. And DeBond won the for the Astros utility. National League, Christian Walker, again, not a surprise. The man can handle the glove at first base. Second base, Nico Horner for the Cubs.
He's a good player.
Yeah, but when I saw who he was going against, I was a little surprised he won. I was thinking Stott was going to win that. Brian Hayes, third base for the Pirates. I thought Austin Riley was going to get that one. I was very wrong on a lot of these. You'll see tomorrow on my Monday show of my dad how bad I was. Shortstop Dansby Swanson with the Cubs. Not good, yeah. And Gabriel Marino for the D-backs, and that's another up-and-comer young guy.
That's the guy they got in the trade for Varsho, right?
Right.
Or whatever his name is, Varsho, whatever.
Yeah. And Varsho was up for outfielder. Zach Wheeler, no surprise there. He, plays his position very well and also gets a lot of outs pitching. Ian Happ for the Cubs. The Cubs defensively.
Wow.
And there's another one because I don't think when did this guy join the Rockies? Brenton Doyle. Did he even have a card?
I think he's a rookie. I think he's also him and Volpe.
Yeah, but did Doyle have a card this year? He's
I don't think so.
Right? Yeah. And because
might have a Tops now.
Right. The call up card. Fernando Tatis Jr.
It's a rookie, anyways.
A month of the season, and this guy gets it. And so he gets it, and I don't know how to say Kim's first name. Hai Song Kim for the Padres. He got the utility. I was surprised Mookie Betts, he was up for that for utility and for left field and got neither. So congrats to all those guys. If you're watching, please like and subscribe and congratulations.
Shoot us an email.
Tell a friend.
Yeah.
So we got Orlando. Welcome, Orlando. Mari. Cabrian over Arenado and Raleigh. Doyle is an update, Amari tells us. So there you have it. Thank you, sir. I thought that it was interesting to run through real quick. I think Silver Sluggers this week, they're going to announce the finalists for Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year. That's getting announced, and not the finalists to get announced this week. But they don't announce the winners till next week. Now, in our world, this is our hobby world. Does anybody look at these awards? Does it make a difference? I know Gold Glove usually doesn't make a difference, or Silver Slugger, but Rookie of the Year must make some difference, right?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to care about Manager of the Year. Cy Young, people will pay attention, but I don't think it has a huge effect. Rookie of the Year, I think it's assumed that Corbin Carroll's going to win. I think people keep an eye on the American League because that's a little more up in the air, though I would think Gunnar would win it. MVP is interesting because if there's an upset in that, I think the assumption is Acuna Ohtani.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if there's an upset, then you're going to see a whole bunch of Topps Chrome cards getting picked off eBay real quick because of the buyback thing. So, there'll be some attention paid for that. Then they'll announce that, and then, you'll be able to trade in your Acunas and Ohtanis for $20 credit.
Yeah, so, the only person that's in the hunt with Acuna is Betts, right? In everybody's eyes, Betts is the only one. But 40-70 is kind of hard to beat.
The only other guy would be Olsen, right?
Could be. Olsen could sneak. I'm sure he's be one of the finals.
But I would still take Acuna over him.
Yeah, I think he's going to be overshadowed on the same team.
And I think those personal achievements matter when if they become Hall of Fame candidates, right? It's when we really highlight those achievements.
Well, I mean, Seager's not going to be MVP because of Tommy's in the same league with him. But Seager showed in the playoffs why he's always in the talk. Simeon didn't show up till the last game.
That Josh Young impressed me at third. I didn't watch him until the postseason. That kid's got a glove over there, man, and an arm. My goodness!
And at the plate,
yeah.
I always ask this of my guests and whoever's on. In the whole playoffs, was there a surprise for you at all? Like a player that stepped up and you're like, that's somebody to watch. Because for me, it was last Dodgers, Will Smith. I'm a big Will Smith fan with the Dodgers. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the game.
Not as underrated as Will Smith, the pitcher, who's just on the world champion every year.
Right.
Yeah.
He gets traded to the world. Was he?
Goodness.
Yeah. But JD, you're shaking your head. Yes. Was there somebody that caught your eye?
Yeah. Adolis Garcia.
Well,
I'm like happy and funny,
year.
but like
right.
I talked about him in back in the summer, but dude, very rarely do my predictions come true. And
if he didn't get hurt,
this guy's making me look smart. But yeah, him for sure.
But didn't he get busted?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that's a shame.
But I mean, he'll straighten out. He ain't the first guy. Hey, another guy got busted and he just won a Gold Glove.
The guy's huge. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a beast, and hopefully he'll bounce back.
Any little hobby heat he was getting, I think, has been extinguished.
Do you think so?
I think so, at least for now.
The only other guy I would say, and this is just because of, I don't know if it's because I was burned on him in fantasy land once upon a time, but Corey Seager is way better than I gave him credit for.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think people get buried in the West Coast.
Yeah, just very good player. Very, very good player.
They go
now
to
next year he'll get hurt, and that'll be the end of that. But whatever.
Evaldi was really impressive too. He really stepped up, man.
Well, Jordan Montgomery, man, he upped his stock, and I mean this series was. I mean, Jonah Heim, he had a good season.
Yeah,
he's not a rookie. He's far from a rookie. I mean, it was some good baseball from all around in this playoffs. I know it wasn't an outcome that everybody wanted, but it was still highlighted with good baseball, and that's all we can ask for as baseball guys. I know it wasn't probably the World Series that MLB wanted, but the teams that MLB wanted, 2 of them didn't even make the playoffs. So, we got good games.
I think
Mike, was there a player that you thought, because you watch every game, was there a player that you were like caught your eye?
Well, I mean, a few people have mentioned some of them, but of course, Texas just had everything rolling, and they won. And they did it with a little of everything. Their bullpen, which was pretty bad during the season, was pretty good. The starting staff gave them enough. They were kind of like, I sort of thought of them a little bit like the 2008 Phillies, because the 2008 Phillies, they had Cole Hamels, who was really good, but the rest of their pitching staff were not guys that would blow you away. It was Brett Myers was their number 2 guy, but their starting staff consistently gave them those 6-7 innings. You can build a team, and we had a team like the Diamondbacks get in, who just played good fundamental baseball for the most part and have been building through trades, acquiring good young players like Moreno and drafting well and Corbin Carroll. But you can also win with the money. You just got to not be stupid with the money, right? And we saw that with the Rangers, who made a huge splash a couple years ago with Semien and Corey Seager. And a lot of people, when Corey Seager signed right before the lockout, got that huge contract, and people were like, Corey Seager, he's banged up, and Corey Seager is legitimately building himself a Hall of Fame resume. Like, he has more to do, but his career numbers are solid. He's still fairly young. I don't believe he's even 30 yet. He's signed for a long time, and he's won 2 World Series. And to me, being World Series MVP twice, I'd rather have that than a guy who's kind of good for 20 years. So, I feel like he has another 4 or 5 really good, all-star caliber years. You got to take him seriously. So some of these guys that are making the big money are actually stepping up. We always focus and talk about all the guys who steal the money, who suck, who don't perform, who have bad contracts. But a guy like Bryce Harper, who's been awesome for the Phillies, he didn't get the big hit in game 6 or 7 of the NLCS, but he hit like 10 clutch home runs this year in the 8th inning or later. They would lose some games because of, a guy who also blew a game in the NLCS, but he's been huge and a huge part of the Phillies' success the last couple of years. Corey Seager gets that big contract, and there's a lot of criticism. World Series MVP, and we see it throughout baseball. So, you got to build a good team. You have to have young players, but these teams that don't ever put out the big money, you don't want to just dump $25 million on a 40-year-old. But, I mean, you add these superstars, they can be game changers.
For me, Yordan Alvarez, not a surprise to anybody. This guy's a solid ball hitter.
Yeah, he's just awesome.
But he just did not hit home runs. He was a hard out. He was putting balls in play, base hits, gapping balls. He was a hitter in this playoffs. He wasn't just Jack. He was still hit some that would have went out of Yosemite. But still, he, as my man says, piss missiles. He still hit those. But he was a hard out. And it's a shame that he's playing on a team that's only got 2 players left in the field from the cheating Astros saga, whatever you want to call it. And he's paying for it for whatever reason. And it's not fair to him. It's not fair to Cal Tucker. It's not fair to any of those guys, other than those two. Victor.
Yeah.
I heard the same thing. 357's asking. I heard that you were at the Dallas show for Mike, baseball collector. Are you going to the Rosemont show in a few weeks?
Yeah, I was at the Dallas card show just for like 24 hours. I was in and out. I had a family commitment to do on today, but I will be dropping a video on that either tonight or tomorrow. And yes, I will be at the Chicago Spectacular on the 17th.
So, way Mike was talking, not as big as turnout at this one. Would you?
You know, yeah, and I mentioned it in my video. I don't go to it every 2 months.
Right.
You know, as from an outsider looking in, it was a spectacular show. I mean, there was plenty of people, plenty of money, plenty of cards.
Right.
The thing wasn't lacking anything. So, you know, but I don't go to it every 2 months either. So,
yeah, because I heard that Chantilly wasn't as popping as it usually is.
Yeah, but if we're trying to measure it from 2 years ago, I it's a different market. I don't think you should do that.
Right, and I just like to know what I know here. The last small one I went here was kind of, but you know, we'll wait and see. Like you said, we'll keep. I just like to keep an eye and a like a hand on the pulse.
Sure.
Yes, 357 Altuve and Bregman are the two. Dave, I didn't go, so crowds were down. That's what David said. He's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, hopefully. And, I mean, Mike brought up a good, like on Saturday, they had the parade for Texas Rangers.
That was Friday.
Or Friday. Okay,
yeah. I was concerned with that, but it didn't affect me. Because I was landing while the parade was going on, and I'm like, oh.
Oh, is this for me?
Yeah.
People really like me.
But it didn't affect it. Yeah.
So, you know, I've already had people commenting in the side, bringing some guys on about knowledge in the hobby. The reason I asked for Victor, he's done a video similar. I have talked about it in the past. JD uses knowledge, deep dives on a lot of his videos. Mm-hmm. Mike has been
got no knowledge. It's okay.
You're one of my go-to guys, man. So my question is, if somebody came up to you and just knew that there's cards out there, cards at Walmart, cards at whatever, and their only question was, I want to start collecting, what would be your question back? Hopefully we would ask a question back to them. I just want to know what you would ask back to them or what you would say to them.
Repeat the question again. I'm sorry.
So like if your friend or somebody comes up to you and goes, hey, Victor, I know you, blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
Hey, I want to start collecting cards. What would be your advice to them?
That's a great question.
Let me tell you, I don't get that question. I get similar questions, but I do always have an automatic response to it. And I was just wondering, because here's my thing. This
you
is
set
what
up like a consultation with them, like you hand them a business card.
No, so what?
My
question was, I was talking to somebody other night, and we were talking about this topic, came up, and I said, we talk about these people that have knowledge. We don't give out degrees. We don't have a college. We don't have. All you have is experience.
I feel like maybe we should.
Sometimes, and word of mouth, and people get put on pedestals in our community, right or wrong, whatever, and we don't really know why and how, or people come out of nowhere and all of a sudden they're the guy in our community. But really, how much knowledge, if somebody came up to you and all they said was, I want to start collecting cards, how much knowledge do they really need to know to start collecting cards?
Well,
watch the games. Boom, you're ready to go.
That's part of it.
So when you put it like that, you really got to, like, I think maybe for the three of us, well, the four of us, but since you're asking the three of us, like, there's a lot of, like, people out there that will definitely look to make a quick buck, right?
Okay.
And they could give bad advice. Oh, hop on whatever and or join breaks or whatever. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of that, but if it's like your first go around, like, I would say, who do you like? What team? You know, whether it's teams or players. I'd give them some basic whatever. Right now, if they're talking, well, I really love Gil Hodges. Okay, well, there's like only so much you can do, right? But if it's a newer guy, I think it can get overwhelming pretty quick. You know, like if you like, I'll give you an example. If you're a Daniel Jones fan, like I used to be,
you'll be able to get some good discounts.
Yeah. His cards, they're actually paying you to take them now off eBay. But so, like, I had high hopes for my Giants this year, and that's not been the case. So again, like, it's just another proven thing of where I've been wrong. And if I didn't know any better and I wanted to start collecting cards, whether it's Optic, Prism, this, Select, you can get lost and overwhelmed pretty quick. So I don't know, like, that's hard, man. It's hard. That's a hard question. I think. I don't know. I don't know if there's what's your standard answer, Scott? You said you had like
the first thing I would ask is, what do you like? If they come back to me with a sport, then we have a start. If they come back with a player, we really have a starting point. But most of the time is, I went into a Walmart and, like you're saying, there's 28 different boxes on the shelf.
All right.
Which one do I get? What am I buying? And again, this is what I can't buy any of them. If you like baseball, get a baseball blaster and just open it and see what you like. Because I just said at the beginning of this, we learn through experience. Now, I'm not talking about we're great, not jumping into deep end.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
I'm talking about starting out. Not grading, not any of that. I think the first step is purchasing your first purchase, or going to a card show. Now, if they went to a card show, that's where I feel like they could be overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed at card shows. I mean,
you get overwhelmed at the card shop. I'm like,
yeah,
you just buy this place.
I have actually been asked this multiple times, and I typically start with, why do you want to collect, or what has inspired you to collect?
Good one.
And then I always make the analogy of gasoline, and I give them a heads up that sports card collecting is like purchasing gasoline. You're going to have your regular, mid, and premium unleaded. And then I start to explain to them, the prices of product, and it has to maybe curtail to your why. And once you know your why, if your why is that you want to make money, right, then you're going to want premium product. If you're just wanting to collect, then you want your regular unleaded stuff. And that's how I typically help them understand how to get started.
Yeah, and to me, nothing we're saying is wrong. All of it is right.
Right.
And because you want to know what the person's ambitions are. Amari, my friend actually asked me this question the other day. Summary, who do you like? By singles, Baseballpedia, TCDB. Yeah. Point them to any of that. None of this is wrong. right?
Point them to Card Hedger, an official sponsor.
Hi, you are hired.
So
that was good, man. That was good.
He ain't looked at the screen yet. So. We so that's kind of the way I want to kick this off. So we in the hobby look to one another, and the first thing the next thing I tell them is, hey, here's a way to contact me once you get started with your next question. Mm-hmm. Because let's go be another question and another, where do I find prices? Because as much as some of us hate this, Victor gets a hat. As much as some of us hate talking about prices and values, but I also have guys here that sell. I'm the only one that's not a seller in this group right now. What? I sell, but not like you guys. But I don't think value is a dirty word, but I do appreciate collecting. And I think y'all do too.
I mean, you need to know the value of stuff. You need to know the value of food too. Like, you go into the store, if you go into the wrong store, you don't want to pay $20 for a box of spaghetti that you could buy for 99 cents. Like,
right.
That's, you don't need to know the crazy values, but you would hope people who are starting it. I guess it depends who's starting to collect. If you're, retired and you have tons of extra income and you can go right to the $2,000 cards, that's a lot different than I would think most people who are starting, who would be more, beginners that are buying, the $20 blasters, opening some packs.
Another great one.
Starting to collect some things.
Right. And to me, if you want to find out, a great starting spot is looking at box scores, looking at who's the leader scoring, look at who people are writing about, who's in the mix in today's sports. If you have to ask in vintage cards who to collect, maybe you should not
go to Cooperstown and get inspired there.
Right. Because not everybody can go out and buy Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantles from playing days, but you can also let them know, hey, there's stuff that's out there now. I get asked all the time, do you have Babe Ruth? No, I'm not in the playing days. But then again,
do you have his first Bowman?
Yeah, I wish. But I say I wish, but I then again, I've talked to Mike about this before. If I won the lottery tomorrow, Mickey Mantle, that wouldn't be the first cards I run out to try to purchase, me personally.
What would it be?
What would it be?
Yeah,
I would probably upgrade a couple of my cards that I have now, like my rookie Roberto Clemente, or I would probably get the Bowman satchel, the Leaf Jackie.
Yeah.
Those cards, those guys expire. I don't say Mickey Mantle and Babe Ruth. If it wasn't for Babe Ruth, we probably wouldn't be talking about baseball, right? I think he is a great ambassador to I would get a Hank Aaron rookie. But I have other inspirations in this game. The problem, I would look for some Gary Carter autos and memorabilia, actual catches equipment from Gary Carter's playing days, because I pretty much have secured most of his cards from his playing days. So thanks to Victor. But that's the way it is. But when you guys have questions, and we all have questions, I'm not going to say who, as in like tell me the person's name, but I'm sure you call up people that you feel secure in questioning, asking, And I think
Not really. I just go to sportscardinvestor.com and pay $300 for all the knowledge I need.
Jump right to this question. If Jeff Wilson came on and started with, I bought Mickey Mantle, Jackie Robinson, blah, 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 vintage cards, would he have more respect?
I don't know, maybe, but all I know is the one thing I was just thinking, because the other day I was working on stuff and I was scouring the internet watching things. And what I would do is if I knew someone who asked me about cards and they wanted to start learning more, I would definitely not tell them to watch Behind the Card or whatever that documentary thing was I watched, because that was
right. Oh yeah, because that's
one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Very misleading.
Sorry if anyone else watched it and liked it, but I was like, wow.
But because I think we're what I wanted to get to, and I'm going to jump ahead because I want to keep this lively. I think we, as a hobby, not we as us four, but we're part of it. I think if somebody has the money to buy cards, all of a sudden they're geniuses. If somebody buys a Hank Aaron in an 8, doesn't make them a genius. It makes them fortunate to have the money to get it in an 8. And I want to pat them on the back. I want to look at the card, and I want to enjoy the card with them. But I'm not necessarily going to ask them a vintage question because it doesn't make them a genius or know it in the hobby. I don't, when I've been getting this overwhelming, especially when it was leading up to the National, watching videos of people talking about, I'm going to go get this in its high grade. Love that you can do it. Love people can do that. But are we putting people on pedestals and making them more than what they are because of the collection they have, not necessarily of the information that they're giving us? Does that make any sense?
It does. I mean, I don't think so. Again, I think it's more of like, who are your interests? What are your interests, right? Who have you made connections with in the hobby?
This is the
right?
point. Yeah,
you're correct. It's one thing to flash a $5,000, $10,000, $100,000 card. It's another thing to know the real story potentially of how that card was acquired, right? But to me, I don't. There's very few channels I even watch on YouTube, and I search and I try to find things, and I keep coming back to friggin' Big Scott 35 and Victor and Omar. I watch like 4 channels because I start to think I found a good one, and then I'm like, nope. And again, now, who am I to judge, right? I make content. I think it sucks 93% of the time, but like, whatever. I just do it because I feel like it kind of keeps a discussion going behind the scenes, like with you guys, and that's more enjoyable to me than a lot of it. So I don't know, and maybe I'm not giving the best answer there, but I don't that doesn't impress me. Like whether you could have every Michael Jordan card there ever was in a PSA 10 or whatever, whatever it is, and while I'd be nervous to hold it, I don't have that kind of cash, so I don't. Yeah. It doesn't I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think it takes a genius to know, hey, buying any Hank Aaron is a good purchase, right?
Right. I mean, it's all subjected to, like, nowadays, obviously everything's expensive. I mean, I guess there's the people who were buying 53 Satchel Pages and all that stuff back in 1990 instead of Greg Jeffries made a really smart move. And you could say the same thing, people who did that stuff 10 years ago. But I think most people who did that were just buying them because they enjoyed them. And they just, like, I think a lot of it, there are some people who are really good at prospecting. They really, really know the baseball prospect. But even that's a crapshoot. And you can Hall of Fame prospect to a degree. And you can get ahead of trends, like if you really set your mind to that stuff. But for the most part, I think a lot of that is, it's like a lot of things. It's, some savvy, some intelligence, some good timing, and a whole lot of luck with a lot of it too. Like if you're pulling good cards out of, I mean, someone could buy 100 boxes at $1,000 each, and someone might buy, one $40 box and get a better card out of that. Like it's kind of a crapshoot with that. I mean, I think the bigger thing to look at for people is what people will discuss but won't necessarily think of is the journey and how you acquire stuff. And obviously, collecting is a long haul and such. Like it takes a long time to accumulate a collection, and you're going to change. Like the majority of people who collect are going to have that, you're into different things. You might get into it opening the cheap boxes, and then you start getting more interested in opening a little more expensive stuff over time. And then eventually maybe you just get into singles, or maybe you get into the grading, or you evolve into someone who's more interested in vintage and that type of stuff. Now, so when it comes to new people, it's kind of hard because they're just starting, but you gotta try and let them know, like it's a journey, and you got to test the waters, and you should test the waters with cheaper stuff because you are going to evolve and find your interest over time.
Well, that before I found I didn't even know YouTube existed. Community. I knew YouTube existed. I didn't know this community existed. For about 10 years ago, I was still collecting like I was in the 80s, trying to buy everything. And now I have a bunch of really nice wallpaper Topps cards in boxes, collecting dust. So I've really evolved here in the last 8 years. I was like, oh, I can just collect Gary Carter cards? There's people that do that? Oh, okay. But I wanted to touch on this. Reese says, in my honest opinion, the more you collect vintage, and especially pre-war, the less the grade is important. You find a card that looks good to you, but that can take many forms. It's just fun having the history. Bingo. That was kind of where I was leading. I just wanted to put that in there because several years ago, it was all about finding it in a grade that you can afford and also that's eye appealing to you, right? I have my satchel. I have it in a 2.5. I think it's a beautiful card. It's well loved. It doesn't have any creases in the picture, the face and all of that. It's above the face. I found a beauty. Same thing with my rookie Clemente. Think it's a beautiful card. But I find that people talking about that knowledge for me is better, because for me, vintage is where I'm lacking at, and I know this, so I don't tell people, "Hey, go buy X, Y, and Z in the vintage world." I don't tell people to buy anything. I just, hey, you like Cody Bellinger, go find Cody Bellinger cards. Don't buy boxes if you don't want to just buy the the 2023 flagship. But and this will lead me to why do we watch or listen to people? Why do you think people gravitate to certain people? As much as some of the hobby doesn't like somebody, they still have a buttload of people watching them. I mean, are they not? Do they not have knowledge, or do they have knowledge? It's just not the knowledge we're looking for. What do you think, Victor?
I think. Let me backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
From the last question, and then I'll lead into this one.
Okay.
But I think, the folks with deep pockets, they buy a lot, and I think with that, eventually comes experience. When you spend enough and you open enough boxes and enough cases, eventually all of that stuff is going to
Very
start
good
to
point.
stick, right? And you're going to start to learn. So in that aspect, those who have deep pockets have the advantage of gaining that experience, or they're more accessible to gaining that experience as opposed to somebody who doesn't open product or only focuses on singles. Why is the draw? It's because it's turning into a casino. It's the excitement aspect. It's the dopamine rush. It's the flash that some folks in the hobby are getting addicted to.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it.
Okay, let me, and that was awesome point. Thank you. That's a point that was missed, and that was great. What knowledge are we looking for? For me personally, I think knowledge is different. That's why I kind of left it very open in the thing. For me, in the hobby world, it could come from day to day. What am I looking at that day? Why do I do some of the things that I do? I am very ignorant on a lot of topics, but also through experience, have some knowledge myself. But I honestly, people don't look to me for. I do get calls. I do get some texts. People in my world think I'm knowledgeable. I have some people fooled, but I don't put myself on that pedestal. I do have some knowledge, but the knowledge that we're basically talking about is our card knowledge, sports cards, especially right now. I do have people I talk to for non-sports. I think people that watch my channel know I collect some non-sports too as well. But that I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, and I think if we can start with defining knowledge, right? Because
Right.
You said it's broad and it might be different to everybody, and I agree with that. But I think all knowledge, there is this element of, and I looked it up even in the dictionary in the beginning of the show.
Uh-huh.
But there is this. It says an acquaintance with facts, truths, or principles, as from the study or investigation. And I think that's the part right there where it turns information into knowledge, is when we put the work into research, when we put the work into study and investigate and get in the weeds about a certain topic on a certain card. And that's the distinguishing factor. Have they done the homework? And you can tell if you are discerning watching a video. You can tell who's done the homework. When I watch a video by JD, I can tell that he's done homework before he hit record. And so then that's the dividing line, I believe, between fluff and BS and knowledge, card knowledge.
So you're saying you wouldn't take somebody else's video and just recuperate and regurgitate it?
We get a lot of that, don't we? We get a lot of that, don't we?
That was brought up last week. I agreed with that. We get a lot of that in the hobby. We just started out his show where was way more informative and felt like you were learning the hobby with him. I have to agree to disagree with you on that, because I watched him at the beginning because I wanted to know why everybody was watching this guy. And from he wouldn't answer questions if you put him in that thing. And if you spoke at the very least against him, his minions came after you.
Yeah.
You're talking about GW?
Yeah.
So from the very beginning, because I watched his first few videos, and to me, the guy's had a lot of success, and there's certainly a lot of things he knows better than me. But he's a really good bullshitter, because when I would listen to him talk about basketball, it sounded to me like he knew everything, because I know nothing about basketball. Mm. When he talked about, and he might know more about basketball than this, but when he talked about baseball, I was like, this guy is full of shit and has horrific advice. And listen, he could gain knowledge about the sports and everything, but one of his first two videos, he was talking about, well, I think it's a good idea to buy the Astros closer. I can't even remember what the guy's name was. And I was like, Well, first of all, the guy's shaky and not that good. He's a closer, so just if you're looking to invest, like closers other than Mariano Rivera basically sell for nothing. Granted, this is about 5 years ago. The dude was coming off a domestic abuse scandal and suspension, which kills a guy's hobby. Like, and then the other few guys he gave, I was like, these guys aren't good players.
That was
They
Brian
don't.
Urias.
So it was like when I was listening to the baseball thing, I was like, he knows nothing about baseball, obviously. Like, again, he might know something about basketball, and it sounded to me like he knew about basketball. But I mean, he would then go into the football stuff and the backup quarterbacks and a bunch of guys who aren't, NFL players. So I mean, if you're starting out, you're gonna just assume. I feel like most people are going to assume whoever they watch. Someone coming on here now that's just starting in a hobby is going to assume all four of us are
Geniuses.
like absolute geniuses. And in certain ways, all of us, Victor's going to know rookie cards super well. Everyone's going to know different things
Little
well.
niche. Yeah.
But I don't think any of us are perfect in all aspects by any means.
Good point.
So, but when you start out, like when I, would start looking into different things, you just assume whoever you're watching, no matter who they are, knows more than you to start. It takes a while to even learn that not everyone knows everything.
Yeah, because,
Sorry for the mini.
Jeff, I know.
I don't want to get you blasted or anything.
I'm just telling you it's Osuna. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, and again, he might have known the basketball stuff. I don't know, but him talking about baseball, I was like, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
He was, because when he first started I remember Prism Draft came out, and I'm just using him as an example of. So Prism Draft came out, which is college uniform, and it was the Zion year. And he was getting all of them graded and everything. But by the time he got them back, guess what came out? All their cards in their regular uniform. So nobody wanted the stuff in their
draft picks, right?
Unless it's Duke, somebody that, like me, was Virginia. But guess what? There weren't any Virginia players in that draft, so I didn't have to buy anything. So, that that's even I know better than that. Amish Dave's putting Will Greer down here as but I also he's really big on getting the backups. He's been that way since he's getting in, and because it's a quick flip for him when a quarterback goes down. Like if you have Dobbs right now, after what he did with Minnesota today, I don't know what cards are out there for him, but I'm sure afterwards they were getting picked off of eBay pretty quickly. I don't know.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of always been like that to a small degree in terms of when someone does something that gets their name out there, they'll have a small, whether it's a spike or not. I mean, I guess maybe it just makes them saleable. Like when a guy would throw a no-hitter even 15 years ago, their stuff would sell the next day because people are like, oh, that guy threw a no-hit, and maybe their prices would rise temporarily slightly. But I mean, it's always been like that with backup quarterbacks too, to a degree. But most of them are forgotten and out of the NFL pretty quickly. Generally speaking, there's a reason why most guys are backups.
This is a great point by Dave. If you base your whole collection off of what somebody else collects, you'll never be fulfilled in the hobby. I can use people as a guide. Yeah,
if Scott just keeps buying Phillies cards because he watches my channel, he's going to be really disgusted every day going, why?
I'll have good kindling. I can tell you, I'll have some good stuff for kindling. But me and Victor bet each other. So I have my shelves right here, just like Victor has behind you.
Inspired by Big Scott.
And I love the magazines, what you've done with that, Victor.
I love them. It's a pricey hobby, man, but it's little by little.
Yeah, I pick up ones that mean something to me.
Yeah.
I can't get too crazy. I can't. This is my issue, man. I wish I could really delve into vintage, but I really like the players that inspire me in my lifetime, right? to love the game. So I tend to put my money into that, and I'm very picky on the vintage that I buy. Like I'm still getting the Clemente run, playing days. I've turned to a little bit more of getting some catchers in their playing days because I
Future
don't.
Mickey Cochran super collector on that.
I am gonna. I am looking for when I go to shows. That's my guy now that I'm looking for. But you know, because for me, my Mets started first year of baseball cards was 61, so my vintage kind of starts there. So I had to find. For me, now in my collecting, I have to have a reason to buy the card to be in my collection. If not, it's just, you know, I'm done buying stuff that's just going to sit in a box and mean nothing to me. So, and I think a lot of with the way the hobby is now, we have to have knowledge out there. And I guess my point I really wanted to get to was just make sure who you're listening to, reasonings you're listening to, and do your own research to back it up.
Yeah. And I think the video that you were referencing that I made, the context of that video, Scott, it was more the just the negative side of content. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When it started affecting, so you're like listening to this like negative garbage like all the time, and it just like it was making the hobby uninteresting to me anymore. You know, and it's like, man, I gotta like stop listening to all this drama and all this.
Well, I did that a couple of months ago. I did that Saturday one, same way. I came very close to quitting YouTube.
Yeah,
because I did not want to be involved in a hobby where I feel like people are so readily to point fingers, and because I think Jeff Wilson's deserves space just as much as I do.
sure.
I think he has a voice. He whatever he's done in the rest of his life, he's made some good decisions. You know, I'm hoping that his card superstore works for him. I don't know if it's going to be good, bad, or indifferent for the hobby. I don't know if it's going to make really a difference in the hobby, but I hope it works for him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to see anybody fail.
Yeah. And for the most part, it's simmered down some, the negativity, the attacks. But I know we had a little season there where we were attacking a lot of people, and then that stuff went down with Ty Wilson, and it was like, oh my goodness, this is just getting so out of control.
Yeah, I think and like you said, we might be past all of that. But I know I watched the video last week, and it came up where if somebody who's been on YouTube for long enough, they had a certain amount of knowledge, and other people don't have that. Now, it kind of hit me in the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I need to not address that, but get some ideas of where people get their knowledge from. Because I'm talking to people now that I talk to for knowledge. You know, in my Rolodex, you know, when we might just talk about cards, or we might, you know, just say hi, you know, whatever. And, you know, I don't get to talk to Victor as much as I would like to, but we're all busy people, you know.
Yeah. I wish I can do this full time, but I can't.
He's got 48 irons in him.
Yeah.
All times. So, I mean, I don't know if I addressed this properly, and I hope I did somewhat, you know, with this knowledge, because I don't think it's a bad thing. I just want to, because it's always fascinated me why certain people go to certain webs or certain content people for knowledge and not just entertainment, right? There is a difference. People showing cards, like Bink said, I'd rather look at cards. I don't do a lot of vintage, so I do go. And by the way, Congratulations to Bowman 53 for hitting 1,000. He's been on YouTube for 6 years and finally hit 1,000 subscribers. So I watched some of him tonight. Congratulations.
Congrats.
And some of the homework and knowledge that guy has.
Right.
Mind blowing, you know.
Right. Why would you not?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy spent how long just on the Bowman 53? That's where he gets his name from. So if you had a question on any Bowman card, it's that if you know him, that's the guy to talk to.
Maybe if he got the big necklace and a half shirt and screamed, "Let's go," maybe.
Right. And I mean, I am lucky.
Unfortunately, there's no refractors or first autos in 53 Bowman. So.
Right. And I mean, I
scream, "Let's go!"
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I feel like we have knowledge of people. I mean, Victor, Mike, JD, how just scanning the room that we were in Thursday night at the National. How many years of knowledge and collecting? Just sitting at the table with you, Victor, at the hobby hotline table.
Yeah.
But the whole room.
Yeah. No.
You had Amish Dave and those guys.
Everybody, man. Yeah.
I mean, it was, if you had a question, that was the room to be in that night.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was going to answer for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we just happened to be YouTubers. But, you know, beyond that, there was a lot of knowledge in there. And I just happened to know you guys so I can get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated hobby, and it's become more and more complicated.
Well said.
Once upon a time, I guess it used to be real simple, but now there's so many aspects and so many brands and companies and grading and different products and such.
Well said.
I think it's pretty difficult to obtain knowledge from a single person. I mean, you have to bounce around and, you know, kind of pay attention to a little bit of everything to at least know something.
No, and I think there's wisdom in having many counselors, right? Having lots of people that you can go to for information. And I often like to encourage people, especially us older guys, right, that we've been doing this for some time, is to, you know, speak up. And I don't know all of us do because we're content creators, but, you know, taking on that mentor leader, just influencing somebody to not influencing, but if you do have somebody come to you that you would like teach them kind of how the real hobby is.
Right. And I mean, I feel so happy and lucky. I can look and see the guys in my Rolodex that I can talk to. I not talked to them in, you know, months, but hey, you text them about a card question, they're all over it. And I love it. That's what I love about this hobby is, man, we love the hobby. And I haven't found anybody yet that won't talk cards with you that's in this hobby. You know, I hit B Roth out of nowhere about a collection at work for some T206s, and he was so helpful with me in the guy that showed them to me. And I also hit up Mike with some of that because it was some Phillies guys or Philadelphia guys in it. So, you know, my point is like there's knowledge out there. I just wanted to know why we watch what makes some of the guys go to certain things for certain people. I just like you, and I'm gonna keep in mind, Victor. You hit a point, you click something in my brain, opening stuff, getting to do that, and I guess being able to make mistakes and not cripple you. You get to learn in that aspect of it, and that's a great mindset. And we have to remember that with some of the people that we don't like in the hobby, the Jeff Wilsons and stuff. You can't tell me he hasn't learned anything since he started, 2020, in 3 short years.
Yeah, and he's changed up his content quite a bit.
Right.
But I bet like between the four of us, when it comes to opening product and actually having a working knowledge of actual product, I would bet between the four of us that Michael would be the most knowledgeable because of the experience that he has in opening the amount of product that he does. And I don't know how much JD opens, but according to his
None.
According to his content, no, he doesn't. I don't either. And
that's
so
probably the smarter thing to do.
That is smarter. I try to stick with 1 pack a day. Weekends, sometimes. Today I didn't really leave the apartment. I kind of stayed here and watched football and did videos and stuff. It's kind of I'm away from my family. Today I do phone calls and everything. But so I did open an extra pack today. I had to. But
I used to
every
rip
now
like
and
a
then you can
madman.
cheat a little bit.
yeah, I cheat every once in a while. I'm a cheater. 1 pack per day. You said it.
I mean, doing things over and over again, of course, you're going to learn more. The longer you collect, the more you're going to learn. You're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Anyone who claims they've not made mistakes is full of shit. I mean, I think we all know that.
Oh, yeah. And the mistakes is where you learn twice as much and you don't forget. If somebody just tells you, you might forget. If you make a mistake and it costs you in your pocket, you tend not to forget those mistakes.
Yeah.
I think too, right? Though, like the one thing, Scott, like that hasn't been mentioned.
Okay.
When people make content, they make content. At least speaking for me, I make content that I'm comfortable with. I would say for the most part. Every once in a while, I go off on like a random like rant on something. But you guys. You mentioned a couple of like some. You can tell I do research. That's not all the time. You can clearly tell when I do research because it sounds a little more educated than my normal stuff. But I just feel like that's what I'm comfortable with, and that's what I like. And Mike mentioned some of that about collecting and things of where you like, and I think he's spot on. So I think like a guy like Jeff. I don't know if like Jeff Wilson, I think gets a lot of unfair crap.
Yeah.
And I'll say
he's
this.
just an easy target because his name's out there. He brands himself so much, so that's just what goes to the forward.
He reminds me of like he's like Biff.
There are guys who make worse content than him.
And he
we don't need to get into that.
Yeah, no, I know. And I just
family
think
out there that's one of them.
I think with Jeff, I think, in all honesty, like if someone that has the capabilities to pay people to have like these production teams and whatever he does, and he's opening a card shop and he's very active at shows and things like that. Like there are worse people that could be, I don't want to say the face, but one of the like more recognizable humans in sports cards. Now, if he helps to bring more people, kids, whatever, into it, from everything I've heard at shows, he's great with the kids. That to me matters. As someone with 4 little bastards that run around, like, trust me, it matters. Like people are nice to my kids. Yeah. He's a big bastard. But you know what I'm saying. Like I got 4 Rugrats that are like, if I bring my kids to a show, and I generally bring my son or I bring my daughter and my son. Because the twins could give 2 craps. But like, if I bring them, I'm always blown away at how nice everybody is to the kids, right? And to me that matters because that keeps them to some degree like wanting to, go to the next one. Or like my son now randomly pulls out his box of Pokemons and he's looking at him and he's like, "Dad, is this one worth anything?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't even know. I can't even say the thing's name. Never mind know what it is, but he likes it and he likes to go through it." So the more people like that can kind of, minus the snafus of like Will Greer's, that's one of the greatest things ever, but at the end of the day, Scott, you said you watch YouTube for entertainment. I'm not watching Netflix other than like if it's a documentary. I'm watching like Fast and Furious. I'm not learning anything from that, other than I just spent 2 hours of my time going, geez, The Rock is on roids. You know what I mean? Like, but like that's all. Like I there are certainly times where I can say I've watched all of your channels and I go away going to myself, that son of a bitch just made me think. Or I just learned something that I didn't know. And I appreciate that about you guys. But honestly, like having got to know you all and talk with you, like I just enjoy listening to the conversations. And Scott, you've turned me on to some other guys. I see like Mr. Fisher Bike in the chat. It's like I love watching his channel. It's just I feel it's just a straightforward, down to earth guy that, like, if I ever met him in person, we'd talk for 3 hours like we knew each other our whole lives.
Right.
You know, so I don't know. I just
Now
want to throw that.
I'm going to say something pretty out there about Jeff Wilson that's probably going to upset the apple cart. But I've said this before in my own channel, and it's one of them things where looking at the industry as a whole, like it or not, believe it or not, accept it or not, Jeff Wilson slowly but surely is becoming the voice of this hobby.
Mm-hmm.
He's becoming the go-between between the collector, the hobby, and the industry. He's going to be the voice of the industry. And that's just an unfortunate, whatever side of the fence you're on with him, that is happening, whether we like it or not.
I think he passed Gary V in that aspect of it.
Oh, Gary V doesn't hold any. Gary V's a different kind of guy, I think.
Yeah,
he's more of like.
I think when he has that shop, him and Fanatics it's going to be a partnership, some type.
So did you watch? He actually just did an interview. I want to say last night or the night before with Jeremy Lee, and he talked about that. Like, the shop's going to be massive. You know,
it's
great
an old
for that.
Best Buy, from my understanding.
Yeah, it's a huge store. You know, and it's going to be an experience. And again, I think that today that's cool, right? I mean, most of us are used to going into like these little hole in the wall stuff everywhere. And, you know, you're trying to find like, hey, Jimmy, what do you want for, this Cal Ripken? Let me look it up. And, I'll tell you what. And he's going a completely different route. And good for him. Good for him, you know. I don't disagree with you, Vic, at all. All, you know?
Yeah, I don't either.
You know, and I don't know if it's necessarily like I'm just kind of with like politics. I'm down the middle. Like I don't care. There's things I like. There's things I like from everywhere, right?
He doesn't. Not to the point where I'm going to lose my mind over him or anybody like that. There's only been one guy that made content that kind of struck me the wrong way, where I thought I needed to make a video. But even then, if I saw him, I'd shake his hand and say, "Hey, thanks for making videos." Because I'm in. Do I think everyone should make a video? I don't really know, but I think the more creators we got is not a bad thing in our hobby. I mean, we're such a small niche in this YouTube world where we're so happy to have 1,000 subscribers, but you go to most other things in this hobby and having 600,000 is the number, or at least 500,000. At least
I love when you know what, that's funny, because I love when I watch like a music video and there's like 5 million views and I'm like, damn, I got 100 views on that video. Like, woohoo!
No, Dave, I want you to keep going. You have till the Cleveland show to stop one a day on that 1 minute video. But I got into the mindless watching of gravity racing cars. I've mentioned it before. Hot wheel cars that go downhill. I love it. It's racing. Their videos are less than 10 minutes. But those guys have tens of thousands of views. They make beautiful tracks. They make great content. But we could do the same thing, and it. Good luck making that many views. I don't know what we got to do to crack what those people do. I don't think it'll ever happen. We would have to all band together and make a super. Together we form Voltron.
But I think too, when we're talking about views earlier, that is a big part of getting a lot of views. Is when you look at it, it's the people who spend big money that have a ton of views and a ton of subscribers.
Well, I have stated before. I watch. I like to catch channels early on since I'm small, and see how they grow, what they do, and I have seen channels morph into different things to get the clicks. I still enjoy watching them because it's still entertaining to me, but I have seen that happen. If it's a response video type of channel, or if it's all of a sudden you're buying vintage cards, whatever it takes.
The content that I really enjoy that helps me really even keep track of, the hobby, the ebbs and flows of the hobby is Neil Cards and Comics. He does, I think, a really solid job as far as giving a weekly market report, and he's just consistent, kind of like neutral, kind of like just facts sprinkled in with his opinion, and
Right.
I really I can respect that kind of content. It really is helpful for me. You know what I mean? Because I don't have the time to follow every detail of every breaking story and that kind of thing. And it's really not like knowledge, but it is good investigative reporting sprinkled in with some knowledge. Mm-hmm. And that's I guess a good example of good hobby content, right?
Yeah, and my thing too with the investigative stuff, I think we need a little bit of that, because right now, Fanatics is about as clear about what they want to do as mud in the future. We don't know what direction we're going, and to a lot of people, they say they don't care, but because what cards they're buying are in the past, not in the future. But there's a large market out here that care. I like collecting the current day guys. I enjoy, to me, watching the games and buying the cards is extension of my love of the game. Bink loves Neo's gem rate numbers update.
Yeah, that's a good video. Good videos that he does too. Yeah.
So I mean, to eat, we all find something, and I guess we'll never know what drives us to certain ones or why. I still scratch my head when somebody comes out of nowhere and all of a sudden has 6,000 subscribers and thousands of views.
They're probably dropping $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in cards is what the
right. And they all of a sudden are the ones we
a lot of the bigger channels too. Like someone mentioned earlier, like some people want to create the same videos as other people, but Jeff Wilson has a whole production team. He's not sitting there making a video and editing. Like he's got someone, half his stuff I'm sure is scripted, and then when he does his vlogs or whatever, he's got a cameraman, a sound guy, an editor, stuff like that. Like that's not sustainable for most people.
Well, there's other guys
in here, and it's the same thing with as guys. A lot of the bigger channels, they hire editors. I know some of the athletes like Phil Hughes and such. Like I don't even think he makes videos anymore. I don't know. Maybe he does.
I know card collector.
He recorded stuff and he paid a guy to do that stuff. So and then they have promotion teams. So there's other aspects you can do to help build your channels quicker. But if you're really about views and all that stuff, then you probably shouldn't make videos about cards. I was looking at an old channel that I haven't put a video on for a couple years, and 4 of the 5 top videos that have 15 to 39,000 views involve tractors or deep sea fishing. So You're gonna get more
Nice.
views on that than you are on sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or be very controversial. That's
Well, you could do that too.
and
Yeah.
that's why the politics and religion channels are huge
Yep.
to this day, being controversial. Does Matt Strom still open cards on YouTube? He does.
He does. He just doesn't do as many because he's doing that show or whatever. I think he only
like
puts out
the
a few
Card Shop
videos
Live or
during
whatever it is.
season.
with Fanatics, right? Isn't he?
I don't know. I thought he was on. I thought he had like a regional, like sports network deal.
Oh, does he?
Yeah. I don't know if that's usually those are, I think, a little longer term. So I don't know if he's in with Fanatics now or not, but I know he had some like regional sports deals, which is why he was on those channels.
Yeah, I'm just glad y'all came on. Played with kicked the can around a little bit, and some great stuff from all you guys. Really was to me. It helped me work through some things. Still love the hobby. Still love this community. There was nothing negative portrayed out of this. It was out of love and just
I was a little grouchy earlier, so my apologies.
That's okay. And just where people's mindsets are when it comes to knowledge, because we are so quick to give somebody a label, and I just want to know why.
Because it's just easy. Like I go, Big Scott, he's a Mets fan, must be a jerk, and I'm like, yeah, he's all right. And you get to know him, like, yeah, he's a pretty nice guy.
And then you hang you and your dad hang out for a weekend, and you find out, hey, he's not so bad. So my guilty pleasures is Tamara's blue chicken. Yeah. So I want to thank y'all again. Thanks for everybody watching and putting up with this. It was not a clickbaitish at all. It was honest. I think people know now that I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit, and I like to know where people's minds are at and what they're thinking about, and why we do things the way we do them. I like to understand, and I got a better understanding tonight. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Victor. Anything closing, Victor, before?
Yeah, no, Scott, just thanks for the invite. Thanks for having me on. And I tell you, you said you wear your heart on your sleeve, but I tell you, that's what draws me to you. There's just an authenticity about you. You wear your heart in your sleeve because you're a good-hearted person, and you care. You care about the hobby. You care about the community, and it shows. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Victor. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
JD, any closing words?
The real season has begun in baseball.
Bingo.
It's time.
That's good.
It's time.
Countdown is on pitchers and catchers.
It's time. I will say this: if the Red Sox don't do anything, I might put out one of the most epic rant videos of all time, and then
that'd be great.
And then just call it a day.
There you go.
Mike
doing rant videos for the clicks. Unbelievable.
Mike O, what's your first off, Mike, how many years you been in YouTube?
I don't know, a while.
Yeah.
While.
What did we figure out? Over 10 years the other night? 11 years?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look at it.
Okay.
Probably. No, maybe 9 years with the sports stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
I want to say, I would say like 2015 would be my guess.
Okay.
Maybe before that. I don't know.
Amish Dave's been around a while. That was on here. Another great OG. But Mike, any closing statements on anything we went over, or any craziness going on?
No, I mean, I hope baseball free agency starts early, but usually they keep us waiting, so I hold my breath till December. It should be an interesting off season. I think if you're watching YouTube, let alone making sports card videos on YouTube, you're probably a sick individual and probably more obsessed with sports cards than the average collector, and I think sometimes we have to realize that too.
Right.
And
And
a lot of
that's
people like sports cards. A lot of people collect sports cards. Not everyone takes it this far.
Right, because when you go to these shows, believe me, the YouTube community is very small. Where the biggest YouTubers don't get recognized, you can hang out with some. They do get recognized, but not what you think they do. And then I can sit beside one of the longest running YouTubers in a hotel eating breakfast at the National, and I get recognized, and he gets recognized as the guy that's on my channel. That was the funniest moment of my life. And I'll keep telling that story, Mike.
Take it as a win, brother.
Big Scott won.
So I'm going to leave on that with me laughing to tears. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming on and watching tonight. I want to thank you three guys for coming on. Please, if you have anything to add, good. I want anything you want to put down in for me to chew on, gnaw on, good, bad, or indifferent. Let me know. I like to hear what people have to say about this subject. Even it could be very confusing. But
and then when you're done liking and commenting on all Scott's videos and going back through his entire catalog, go check out Victor, the rookie card specialist, JD. I mean, you can go through 10 years of bullshit on my channel too if you want. We'll see.
Hey, you did drop a very good video for SGC today. I enjoyed it because I don't know how many cards I had on it. But.
You had a lot. I think you had about 20 cards, so you were almost half the order.
I have a complete graded set of the 1979 Topps comics now. So just waiting to get them in the mail from you, and I'll have a completed set. So very happy.
There you go.
So
many years in the making.
Yeah, and I got about 20 cards left of the 66 Batman series to get graded, and then I'm done with that one. So until next time, see ya. And keep it real in the streets.
That's right, always.